He ruled the underworld of Seoul with an iron fist and a frozen heart, convinced by doctors that he could never father a child. But when I walked back into his dangerous world to save my sick mother, I brought the two things his money couldn't buy: twin boys with his eyes, and a secret that could burn his empire to the ground. I never thought I would return to Seoul. The city was a neon-soaked beast that had chewed me up and spit me out 4 years ago, but desperation has a way of making you do things you promised you never would. My mother needed surgery, and the pay at the Golden Lotus, the most exclusive high-stakes casino in Gangnam, was the only way to save her. I adjusted the collar of my waitress uniform, my hands trembling slightly. It wasn't just the job that terrified me, it was him. "Keep your head down, Luna," I whispered to myself, checking my reflection in the locker room mirror. Do the job, get the money, get home to the boys. Leo and Kai, my 4-year-old miracles. They were safe at the neighbor's apartment, probably hacking into a video game they weren't supposed to play. They were the light of my life, and the living proof of a night I couldn't forget. A night with a man who didn't know they existed. I walked onto the casino floor, the air thick with the smell of cigar smoke and anxiety. Suddenly, the hum of the slot machines seemed to die down. The temperature in the room dropped. The double doors swung open and a hush fell over the crowd. Kim Woo-jin walked in. He looked exactly the same as he did that rainy night 4 years ago. Cold, devastatingly handsome, and radiating a power that made grown men step back. He wore a black tailored suit that cost more than my life's earnings. His dark hair swept back from a face that looked like it was carved from marble. He was the Dragon of Seoul, a man who allegedly had no heart and, according to the tabloids, no heir to inherit his throne. If only they knew. Do you think it's better to keep a secret to protect your children, or tell the truth and risk their safety? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this. I gripped my serving tray until my knuckles turned white. I tried to shrink into the shadows, but fate is a cruel writer. Woo-jin stopped mid-stride. He didn't look at the bowing managers or the trembling guards. He turned his head slowly, his dark predator eyes scanning the room until they locked directly onto mine. The air left my lungs. He didn't move, but the intensity of his gaze felt like a physical touch, burning through the distance between us. The world narrowed down to just the two of us. The sounds of the slot machines and the chatter of the wealthy patrons faded into a dull roar, drowned out by the thundering of my own heart. Woo-jin didn't shout. He didn't snap his fingers. He simply walked toward me, and the sea of people parted instantly, terrified of the man who held the Yuhom, city's leash. Every step he took toward me felt like a countdown. I wanted to run. I needed to run for the sake of Leo and Kai, but my feet were rooted to the expensive carpet. He stopped inches from me. The scent hit me first. Sandalwood, cold rain, and something metallic. It was the exact same scent that had clung to my sheets for days after that night. The night I found him bleeding in the alleyway behind the diner where I used to work. The night I stitched him up, and he looked at me not as a savior, but as a woman. "You," he breathed. His voice was a low rumble, vibrating through my chest. It wasn't a question. It was an accusation mixed with disbelief. I gripped the tray tighter, trying to steady my shaking hands. "Sir, would you like a drink?" I asked, my voice trembling, trying desperately to pretend I was just a waitress. Just a nobody. He ignored my question. His eyes, usually so cold and dead according to the news, were burning with a chaotic mix of anger and hunger. He reached out, his leather-gloved hand hovering near my face before he pulled the glove off. His bare fingers grazed my chin, tilting my head up. The touch was electric, sending a shockwave of memory through me. His skin against mine, the desperation of his touch 4 years ago when he thought he was dying. "I turned this city upside down for you," he whispered, his thumb brushing my lower lip. "And here you are, serving drinks to lesser men." "I have to work, Mr. Kim," I stammered, pulling back slightly. "Please." "Not anymore." His gaze dropped to my pulse point, watching it flutter wildly. "You vanished like a ghost, Luna. Ghosts don't come back unless they have unfinished business." He stepped closer, boxing me in against the bar. "And neither do I. I'm not a ghost, Woo-jin. I'm a waitress. And I'm on the clock." I tried to sound brave, but my voice betrayed me. It cracked, fracturing under the weight of his stare. He didn't care about my job. He grabbed my wrist, not painfully, but with an unyielding firmness, and pulled me toward the VIP elevator. The security guards turned their backs, pretending not to see the owner dragging a staff member away. "Let me go!" I hissed, digging my heels into the plush carpet, You can't just take me. I can do whatever I want, Luna. You learned that the hard way, didn't you? He pressed the button for the penthouse office. The doors slid shut, sealing us in a glass box rising above the city. I left because we come from different worlds, I lied. The truth was burning a hole in my throat. I left because I was pregnant, and your enemies would have used my babies as leverage against you. It was one night. It meant nothing. Woojin cornered me against the glass wall as the elevator chimed. We were high above Seoul now, the city lights reflecting in his dark eyes. About sis. Nothing? He laughed, a dry, humorless sound. I have scars on my chest from where you stitched me up. I have a space in my bed that hasn't been filled since you walked out at dawn. Don't insult my intelligence, Luna. He placed a hand on the glass next to my head, leaning in. You're trembling. You're terrified. What are you hiding? My heart hammered against my ribs. If he found out about Leo and Kai, if he knew he had sons, his enemies would hunt them. He would try to take them. I just want to go home, I whispered, looking away. You are home, he murmured, his voice dropping to a dangerous, seductive octave. But you're right. You're hiding something. You're not just running from me. You're running to something. The elevator doors opened into his office. He walked out, loosening his tie, and threw a keycard onto his massive mahogany desk. You're not leaving, Luna. Not until I figure out why you look at me like you're protecting a national secret. He sat down, his gaze locking me in place. My driver is picking up your things from your apartment. You stay with me. My blood ran cold. My apartment. The babysitter. The twins. Call him off, I screamed, lunging for the phone on his desk. You can't go to my house. Woojin caught my wrist effortlessly, his expression darkening. Why? Is there a man there? Is that it? Before I could scream that it was infinitely more complicated than a man, the room suddenly plunged into darkness. A jagged mechanical siren pierced the air, and thick steel shutters slammed down over the floor-to-ceiling windows with a deafening clang. Code Black, Woojin cursed under his breath. What's happening? Get down! He didn't wait for me to comply. He tackled me, his arms sweeping around my waist as he pulled us both behind the heavy oak desk. We hit the floor, my back against the wood, his body pressing me into the carpet. Sniper drone detected, he whispered, his lips brushing my ear. Don't move. We were trapped. The most powerful man in Seoul and the woman hiding his heirs squeezed together in a space no wider than a coffin. The silence that followed the siren was heavy. I could feel the rapid thud of his heart against his ribs, matching the frantic rhythm of my own. His weight was overwhelming, familiar, and terrifyingly comforting. For a moment, I forgot about the driver. I forgot about the twins. All I could feel was the heat radiating from his chest and the way his hand instinctively cupped the back of my head, shielding me from a threat I couldn't even see. You're trembling again, he murmured in the dark. His voice wasn't cold anymore. It was rough, laced with adrenaline and something softer. I'm scared, I admitted, though I wasn't sure if I was scared of the sniper or him. I won't let anything touch you, he vowed. I told you, Luna, you're mine to protect. He shifted slightly, his knees slotting between my legs to give him leverage if he needed to move, but the friction sent a jolt of electricity straight to my core. We stared at each other in the red emergency lighting. His gaze dropped to my neck, where a thin silver chain rested. What is this? He reached out, his fingers grazing my collarbone to pull the necklace out. My heart stopped. It was a locket. Inside was a picture of the twins. He flicked the silver latch with his thumb. The locket sprang open. Time didn't just stop, it shattered. Inside were two tiny faces grinning back at him, Leo and Kai. They were the spitting image of him, from the sharp curve of their jaws to the distinctive monolid shape of their eyes. Woojin didn't breathe. He stared at that picture like it was a bomb that had already detonated. Give that back, I whispered, my voice cracking. I tried to snatch it, but he caught my hand, his grip iron tight. Who are they? His voice was barely a whisper, devoid of the arrogance from before. It was hollow, haunted. My nephews? I lied, the falsehood tasting like ash in my mouth. I'm raising them for my sister. He looked up, his eyes searching mine with a desperate intensity. Don't lie to me, Luna. I was poisoned by a rival clan 5 years ago. The best doctors in Seoul told me my bloodline ended with me. They told me I was broken, sterile. He looked back at the photo, his thumb trembling as it brushed the glass over the boys' faces. I accepted that I would be the last monster in my family. But these boys, they have my eyes. They have my mother's chin. It's a coincidence, I pleaded, tears stinging my eyes. Wu Jin, please. Suddenly, the red emergency lights died. The bright, sterile office lights flickered back on. The lockdown was over. His phone on the floor buzzed, vibrating violently against the wood. He answered it on speaker, his eyes never leaving my face. "Report," he commanded. "Boss?" The driver's voice crackled through the silent room. "We're at the woman's apartment. We secured the perimeter." My heart stopped. "And?" Wu Jin asked. "We found them, sir. 2 children. They were hacking the security system when we breached the door. Boss, you need to see this. They look exactly like you." Wu Jin dropped the phone. The revelation hit him like a physical blow. The infertile king had just found his princes. If you were in Luna's shoes, would you continue to deny it to protect them? Or confess everything now? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more. An hour later, the penthouse elevator dinged. I braced myself for tears, for screaming, for my babies to be terrified. Instead, Leo and Kai walked out holding juice boxes, looking around the multi-million-dollar office like they were inspecting a new playground. My heart hammered against my ribs as I rushed to hug them, checking them for scratches, for bruises. "Mom, relax," Leo mumbled, squirming out of my grip. "The car had Wi-Fi, it was cool." "And their firewall is trash," Kai added, adjusting his glasses that made him look like a miniature, skeptical version of the man standing behind me. "I bypassed the perimeter alarm in 12 seconds. Wu Jin didn't speak. The Dragon of Soul, the man who made politicians tremble, looked paralyzed. He walked slowly toward us, his expensive Italian shoes making no sound. He didn't look at me, he couldn't take his eyes off them. He stopped a foot away. For the first time in history, Kim Wu Jin knelt. He lowered his tall, imposing frame until he was eye level with the boys. The room fell silent. The resemblance was terrifying. It was like looking at a photo of Wu Jin from 30 years ago, split in two. "Who are you, mister?" Leo asked, fearless. Wu Jin reached out, his hand trembling violently. He hesitated, as if he were afraid his touch would shatter them. Slowly, reverently, he brushed a stray curl away from Leo's forehead. Wu Jin's voice broke. He cleared his throat, fighting back a wave of emotion that threatened to drown him. "I'm someone who has been looking for you for a very long time." He looked up at me then. The anger was gone, the coldness was incinerated. In his eyes, I saw a raw, bleeding gratitude that took my breath away. "I wanted to kill you for hiding them," he rasped, standing up and closing the distance between us. He cupped my face with both hands, his forehead resting against mine. "But looking at them, healthy, smart, safe, all I can do is thank you." "I did it to save them from your world," I whispered, tears finally spilling over. "Then I'll change the world," he vowed, his thumb wiping away my tear. "For them. For us." The peace lasted exactly 5 minutes. Wu Jin was still holding my hand, his thumb tracing the pulse at my wrist, while Leo and Kai argued over who would sit in the boss's chair. For a second, I allowed myself to imagine it. A life where we were a family. A life where I didn't have to run. Then I saw it. A tiny, dancing red dot appeared on Kai's chest, right over his heart. "Kai, move!" Wu Jin roared. He didn't hesitate. He launched himself across the room, tackling our son just as the bullet shattered the supposedly bulletproof glass of the penthouse. Crash! The sound was deafening. Wind howled into the room, carrying the sounds of the city and the smell of ozone. "Get down! Everyone down!" Wu Jin screamed, shielding Kai's small body with his own massive frame. I grabbed Leo, dragging him behind the heavy oak desk, my heart trying to claw its way out of my throat. Another shot rang out, destroying a vase near my head. "They found us!" Wu Jin snarled, pulling his gun from a hidden holster. His face was no longer the face of the father who had wept minutes ago. It was the face of the devil. "My uncle, he must have leaked the intel. He wants the succession." He looked at me, his eyes wild. "Luna, you have to trust me. I will get you out." "Trust you?" I screamed, pressing Leo's face into my chest to muffle the sound of the gunfire. "I trusted you for 5 minutes, and my son almost died." I looked at him, and the connection we had just built shattered like the window. "This is why I ran. This is why I hid them. You are death, Wu Jin. You are a curse." He flinched as if I had shot him myself. The hurt in his eyes was raw, open, and devastating. But he didn't argue. He knew I was right. He tossed me a keycard. "Take the private elevator to the garage. Take the armored SUV. Gumki." "What about you?" Leo cried out, looking at his father. "I stay," Wu Jin said, turning his back to us, facing the shattered window and the assassins beyond. I have to burn the bridge so they can't follow you. The armored SUV was a silent fortress, gliding through the rainy streets of Seoul. The city blurred past us in streaks of neon, but all I could see was the image of Woo Jin standing alone in that shattered room waiting for the wolves. Mom? Leo's voice was small from the back seat. Is he going to die? I gripped the steering wheel until my leather gloves creaked. He's very strong, Leo. He's buying us time. He jumped in front of me, Kai whispered, clutching his seatbelt. He didn't even know me and he jumped. The truth of those words hit me harder than any bullet. I had spent 4 years demonizing him, convincing myself he was just a monster in a suit. But a monster doesn't sacrifice himself for strangers. A monster doesn't look at his children with that kind of desperate, worshipful awe. I looked in the rearview mirror. The twin towers of his corporate empire were fading into the distance. I was doing exactly what I had done 4 years ago, running. I was choosing safety. I was choosing a life without him. And it felt like dying. If we leave him, I whispered, the realization cold and sharp in my chest, we're safe, but we'll never be whole. I looked at the boys. They weren't crying. They were waiting. Waiting to see if their mother was the kind of woman who left people behind. Hold on, I said, my voice hardening. I slammed on the brakes. The tires screeched against the wet asphalt, spinning the heavy vehicle around in a tight 180-degree turn. The engine roared as I floored the gas, heading straight back into the heart of the danger. Mom? Leo asked, eyes wide. What are we doing? We're going back, I said, watching the speedometer climb. We don't run, boys, not anymore. We're going to get your father. I didn't need a gun to get back into the building. I had 2 geniuses in the back seat. With a few swipes on his tablet, Kai overrode the lockdown, opening the service elevator that bypassed the lobby chaos. When the doors opened on the penthouse floor, the silence was heavier than the gunfire had been. The room was a wreck of shattered glass and splintered wood. Woo Jin was sitting against the remains of his desk, clutching his side. He looked up, his eyes widening in disbelief as I stepped over the debris, the boys flanking me like little bodyguards. You came back, he rasped, pain and wonder, warring in his voice. Why? You could have been free. I was free for 4 years, Woo Jin, I said, kneeling beside him and pressing my hands against his wound, just like I had that rainy night in the alley. It was cold, it was lonely, and it wasn't a life. He groaned, leaning his head back against the wood, but his hand found mine, gripping it tight. I destroyed the threat. My uncle won't come for us again, but I'm still dangerous, Luna. I'm still the dragon. Then teach us how to fly, Leo said, stepping forward and placing his small hand on Woo Jin's shoulder. Woo Jin looked at the boy, then at me. The hard, marble mask of the Mafia boss finally crumbled completely, leaving just a man, a father, who had been given a second chance he never thought he deserved. I thought I was infertile, he whispered, pulling us all into a crushed, desperate embrace, burying his face in my neck. I thought I was the end of the line, but you gave me a future. I didn't just give you a future, I smiled, kissing the soot on his cheek. I gave you a family. The sirens were wailing in the distance, signaling the end of the chaos, but for the first time in his life, Kim Woo Jin wasn't listening for threats. He was listening to the heartbeats of his sons. The one night was over. Our forever had just begun. Do you believe love can truly change a person's nature? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.